Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about section 4.9, which is box and whisker plots. So you should be able to determine the median, the lower quartile, upper quartile, min and max, create the box and whisker plot, and answer questions based off given box and whisker plots. So in order to construct a box and whisker plot, please put this on your note sheet. It's another way to display data. Just like we had our histograms, a box and whisker plots is another way to show data. This is helpful when interpreting the distribution of data. And when we mean distribution of data, that's talking about the spread. How far things are spread out from the smallest to the largest value. Also, if there are any clusters of data, you can easily show that with a box and whisker plot, because there are 5 things you need for a box and whisker plot. One of the things you need is the minimum. What's the smallest value in the set of data? Likewise, on the other end, you need the maximum. What's the highest value that you have for your data? The one in the middle is your median. So that's when we order our information from least to greatest and take the middle. If there's an even number of terms, we take the average of the middle numbers. Then yesterday you practiced finding the lower quartile, which is the middle of the bottom half of the data, and our upper quartile, which is the middle of the upper half of the data. So when our data is split in between the median, the lower quartile, and the upper quartile, and we talked about this yesterday, each of those parts represents 1/4. And we can represent 1/4 in terms of a percent, and that's 25%. So from the minimum value to the lower quartile, that's 25%. From the lower quartile to the median, that is also 25%. And from the median to the upper quartile, that's another 25%. Altogether, 100%. For 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4 added all together is 1. So in order to show this on a box and whisker plot, we put it on a set of data. Our data information, the 5 things we wrote down with the hand, go on a number line. And we don't do it on the number line just so we can showcase what things are. The lower point right here represents the minimum value of your data. The largest point over here on the furthest point to the right is your maximum. This bar represents the number that is your lower quartile. Next is your median, and then your upper quartile. Between the lower quartile and the upper quartile, that is represented with a box, and your whiskers are the bottom and top 25% of the data. So this can show you the spread. You can notice that this section right here and this section do not carry the same length. That means there's more spread to the data in this 25%, whereas this group is more compact. This is more of a cluster of data. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through an example of the homework that we did last night. Now you should already have that corrected, so please pause this video and get out that document. You can go to Haiku, Comprehensive, Chapter 4, and look for yesterday's date and open up that homework document if you don't already have it opened. All right, you should have opened that document, and we already have information from last night. We found the median, the lower quartile, and the upper quartile. So here is example 1 from the worksheet. Percentage achieved on a statistics test. We already have it numbered from smallest to largest. The median was 68, the lower quartile was 54, and the upper quartile was 77. So we're going to construct the box and whisker plot. If you flip your worksheet over, you've got box and whisker plots for all 5 questions that you had for homework last night. We're going to do number 1 together, and then I'm going to have you check 2, 3, 4, and 5 after you have time to do them. So looking at our smallest value, the minimum value that we need was 45. So here's 40, 50, halfway in between is 45, and I'm going to put that above the number line. Our largest value, the maximum value we had, was 93. So I'm going to go over to 90 and 1, 2, 3 more boxes to the right, put my dot. The lower quartile that we found was 54. So 54. The median was 68, which is to the right of 60. Here's 65, 6, 7, and 8. And our upper quartile was 77. So 70, add 5 more, and add 2 more to that. And we're going to construct our box with that. And the next thing we want to do is put the whiskers on. So this is what your example should look like for number 1. What I'd like you to do is pause the video and answer the next questions that you had for homework and create the box and whisker plots for those. So here are the examples that you should have graphed. You've got your minimum. Sometimes it's just represented as a dot, or sometimes it has the bar. We've got our lower quartile, the median, the upper quartile. Number 3 is also on here. Each of these are counting by 1 unit, so it makes it pretty easy to write. So double check that you have the right answer for these. And here are 4 and 5. Take a look at what you've graphed and compare it to the answers on the screen. What we're going to be doing is answering some question over the histogram, or the box and whisker plot that you have on the front side of your note sheet. So it says that our title is Miles Traveled on Vacation. Our number line is representing numbers from 0 to 1100, which means 1100 miles were traveled on vacation. This is in box and whisker plot form, so we are able to use this to answer some questions. We can tell right away, based off the 5 things that we need, we have our minimum, our lower quartile, our upper quartile is over here, our median, and our maximum. So taking a look at this, please go through and answer the questions on the slides, and we're going to pause at each point to have you answer the questions, and then I'll explain the answer. So number 1, what are the greatest and least number of miles traveled? Well, our greatest implies this is our maximum, and our maximum, if we go over here, is about 1,000 miles. The least is our minimum, and our minimum we can represent is the number on the left, that point, which is 200 miles. Question 2. What percent of people traveled more than 475 miles? For this one, we really need to understand what each of these represent. 475 miles is right here, and that's defined as the median. The median is the middle. The question is asking what percentage of people traveled more than. So I want numbers to the right of the median. Well, if the median is the middle, that accounts for half, which is 50%. 50% of the data is above it, and 50% of the data is below it. So the percentage of people that traveled more than 475 miles is 50%. Question 3. What percentage traveled between 400 and 475 miles? For this question, you need to identify the different parts. 400 miles is shown on our diagram right here, and that is representing our lower quartile. 475 is our median. The lower quartile is the middle of the bottom half. So if it is the middle of the bottom half to the median, that is representing a quarter, which is 25%. Question 4. What percent traveled more than 700 miles? Taking a look at our box and whisker plot, more than 700 miles is all of the space up here. That is found by looking at our smallest value in that area, which is the lower quartile, upper quartile at 700, going to our maximum. This area right here is representing 1/4 because the upper quartile is the middle of the upper half. So if that is a quarter, that is 25%. Question 5. What percent traveled more than 400 miles? 400 miles is the lower quartile. More than is 1, 2, 3 sections. Each of these sections are worth 25%, so we've got 3 times 25%. So 75% traveled more than 400 miles. Question 6. Which interval is clustered? Clustered is a dense group of information in not a large span. So if we're taking a look at our entire box and whisker plot, we're looking for the area where 25% of the data is in the smallest space available. And that occurs right here. So between the lower quartile and the median, that is our smallest span, which means it's our most dense population. 25% of the people are clustered in here. So between 400 and 475, that is a cluster of data. Now that you have the information, you should be able to work through your homework easily on your own. If you need assistance, please ask for some help. You can ask the people at your table, or you can go visit the Math Study Hall. All right, I will see you on Monday.